Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits, which is the version of Zen Live. And yesterday we were talking about the East and the West and the wisdom of the East coming into the West in a bucketful in the 60s. It dribbled in before, creating the transcendental movement in America and the Romantics in England and around the turn of the 1800s. But it came in and it just faucet just opened up in the 60s, and so so today I wanted to make this move our constant looking at this diamond of wisdom from different facets. And look at it in terms of restoring your peace. Now the 60s, just to finish up on that one thing, was a disruption of the unity of the 50s. 50s was a very unified historical time. Very well, it was just, the society was just accepted everything as it was, as this is the way it is. And in the 60s, all that was questioned. So the question of the 60s disrupted this unity, and it's been disrupted ever since. So even Trump came in and said, we're going to restore America. Well, what does that mean? It means restore unity, or restore peace, okay? So, but let's move this inward a little bit, because we're always talking about, and we always think in terms of, we live in the world, we live in America, I live in my town, I live in a family, I live in something. And then I feel a loss of my peace or unity. I feel something's wrong. I feel something is I feel irritated. Something is wrong. Something's out of sync. Something is not unified. Who did it? Who's to blame? Somebody out there is to blame. Trump blamed the illegal immigrants or the Muslims. Or somebody's got to be to blame. And if we can't find anybody to blame, we blame ourselves. So, but either way, outside or inside, there's somebody to blame for the loss of peace. And this basically comes from a fundamental assumption that I am a separate thing, a standalone thing that is me, and I live in something. I live in America, I live in Virginia, I live in Texas or wherever, I live in my town, I live in the family, I live in my house, I even live in my mind. But the idea is that I'm a thing living in something. Well, this is a false, I mean this is a truth, but it is a superficial truth, because we really live in our mind. That is the house we live in. And who is it that lives in the mind but a separate sense of me? So this little me that I believe is a thing, has a name, has a history, experiences, dreams, desires, problems, patterns, why do I keep doing the same thing, hope, all of these things are associated with me. And I live in something. I can't be, see, just the idea of being, I have to be in order for there to be a me, there has to be a me in something that is different from the something. You see that? In order for there to be a me, a sense of me, a sense of myself as being separate, I have to be separate from something that I'm in. So you can just keep going out, you know, like I live in a house, I live in a family, I live in a town, live in a state, live in a country, And then I might stop there and say, well, the discomfort and the disunity that I feel is a problem with my country. Or I could go, or it's Western civilization. That's where the problem is. Or I could go, humanity. I live in humanity, and humanity is a problem. It's a failed species. That shouldn't even exist. God made a mistake, or nature made a mistake, you see. Or the cosmos is a mistake, or the whole, wherever. We just keep, it's kind of like the Russian nesting dolls, so we just keep looking for something to be in that we can blame for our loss of unity, our loss of peace. Isn't that interesting? So we need to change the way we look if we're really interested in restoring peace, if we're really interested in finding our original unity. Now there again, you might say, well, there is no original peace. We're screwed up from birth. Original sin. Can't get out of it. Humanity is flawed. A wound, you see. So you need to be healed by somebody else. So you got to go to the boss to get some medicine. So you got to go to the boss or the Savior. Believe in the boss and you'll be okay. But yet we're still negative. We're still in pain. Nothing really changes. So let's take a look at this. Because all my talks, all of my practice, all of my interest, all of my energy goes into turning within and understanding how this mind I live in works. What's the operating system? What's the code? Who writes this thing? Who writes the programs of me, you see? Who's writing my pain? Who's writing my operation? Who's the director? Do I know? Who's the producer? Do I know? And who's the actor? Do I know? I'm curious. My whole life has been curious about this. My whole life has been trying to figure this enigma out. Remember that movie? The enigma of the human consciousness. I want to know. I want to understand it. I want that peace that passes understanding, you see. That's what I want. And so you have to look. But if you haven't succeeded in finding it, then obviously you're not looking in the right place. There's an old story of somebody who lost the keys to the car. And they're out there under the street lamp at night looking in the grass. And somebody comes by and says, what are you doing for? You looking for the keys to the car? I lost my car keys. Well, did you lose them here? He said, no, I didn't lose them here, but this is where the light is. So it's kind of, we're looking in the wrong place, you see. So that's what all my talks are about, is trying to look at the right place. Because if you can see the real cause for our pain and our negativity, then there's a possibility that it can cease, you see. And that's basically the fundamental teaching of the Buddha. What did he teach, he said? I teach suffering and the cessation of suffering. That's it. For 45 years he just taught that. So let's take a look here. Restore your peace, okay? Well, there's a fundamental, when you really get down to the core of it, and this has to be what you do by looking within, into everyday mind. That's what I love about Zen. So what is enlightenment? The Master said everyday mind. Your everyday is already enlightened, but you're not seeing the light because we're looking in the dark. So let's look at the light, and we have to look at every moment. It might be this moment right here that you're listening to me, but all of our life is every moment. We're always in this moment. So we have to look at this moment in order to see where the peace is lost. So just basically right here, I love this, my little yin-yang. So the dark yin would be this present moment, what is. So right now, suppose you're listening to this, and your partner calls and says, take out the garbage. And you suddenly have a little jag, a little irritation, Says, well, wait, I'm watching this. Wait a minute. Irritated. How dare somebody interrupt? This should not be. I should be allowed to watch this in peace. And now somebody is telling me I got to do something. That should not be. Right there, right there. What is this present? This present moment is irritation. I feel it. Little jag. It might be very subtle. Just a teeny little blip. Boop. Or it might be like that, you see. Teeny little blip. So what, all right, that's a feeling. That's my body. My body feels. I feel that. What does my mind do? My mind says, this should not be. I should be left alone. I should be at peace. And now this somebody, blame, you see, now I got to, see this right here, blame. This invader, this illegal invader created this negativity. It could be a little discontent, a little irritation, or it could be a violent anger. And there's a conflict now. In my mind is split, right down the middle, to a feeling of irritation and a contradictory thought of saying this should not be. You see? So now I have split. Peace means whole. Okay? So when we lose peace, we crack the egg into two incompatible, contradictory halves, like heads and tails, that cannot go back together again. Humpty Dumpty. Once you split the egg, the piece, you can't put it back together because one half is thinking, which is time. This should not be. This moment should be different than it is. That's time. It should be different. So I got to get to the future where it will be back the way it should be. And the timeless is right now. It's always now, so now is never in time. So now is where I'm irritated. I'm irritated with now, and it should not be there. It should not be this way. It should be different, which is future, which is thought. So we have a war now between thinking and feeling. And this creates a split in me, and there, that is what Buddha called the suffering. It's called dukkha, duality. A civil war in the mind created by a belief that somebody is invading me and creating this negativity. So Trump says, well, restore America's peace. You do that by building a wall and keep out negativity. You just build a wall, and first of all, you get rid of all the negativity, illegal aliens. You get rid of all the negativity, throw them out, and build a wall so they can't get back in. Well, that doesn't really work, does it? But it is kind of a metaphor for this problem that we all have on blaming something that should not be, something that has invaded me and destroyed my peace, and now I got to get rid of it. Kick it out, get rid of it. And we go to all kinds of self-help strategies now to try and get rid of negativity. Well, I got to do more yoga, I got to do meditation, I got to go back to church, I got to believe harder, I got to change my diet, I got to do this, I got to do that. You see, I got all these things I got to do. I got to do my New Year's vows. I got to move to California. Something is going to get rid of the negativity that I feel, that I blame on either the world or on myself. You see. And so this is our whole life, time. We're just kicking this rolling stone down. You know, every negativity that comes in, every mood, every emotion, every state of mind that's uncomfortable, that's suffering, we blame it on something outside or inside, and we come up with a new strategy to get rid of it. So we're always becoming. See, we're always becoming peace. So the promised land of peace is always in the future, if I can just get rid of these illegal aliens now. So, if you understand the external world and all of the people trying to get rid of their suffering, all of the people trying to restore peace, if you look at it, well, that is happening exterior, and that's history, right, okay. But the fundamental problem is my peace, is your peace, is your unity. What are you doing, and how can you restore that, you see? Can you restore that by fixing the world? No, the world is always going to be broken. Reality is always going to be in a turmoil. There's no way that that reality, humanity will all of a sudden, you see, just become all loving and peaceful like one big Woodstock. You see, that's not going to happen. But your peace can be restored, you see. Your unity can be restored. And if you restore your unity, you are the world and the world is you, and you have restored the world unity. You have restored, and that doesn't, I don't mean to say that suddenly everybody will be peaceful because you restored your peace. No. But you are the world and the world is you, so all we can do is restore our peace. And when I restore my peace, then I'm at peace with the world. It's very simple. It doesn't mean I can't go out and help people do stuff and fix things, or fix the leaks, or move to California, or whatever I want to do. But I do it from a inner peace instead of an inner need to restore my peace. There's nothing to restore when you discover your peace. But we can't discover our peace unless we see what the cause is. And we can't see what the cause is unless we look directly at the moment in which the negativity appears. And we can't look at the negativity that appears as it appears when we're blaming it on somebody else. So the gateway to restoring peace is to eliminate blame. Just catch the mind trying to blame an exterior or yourself for a negative feeling. Shame or guilt or irritation or whatever the feeling comes up, it's painful. It's a little thorn. Notice yourself blaming it. Say, oh, well, that's what my mind is doing. It's blaming. Isn't that interesting? So now I'm interested in the blame strategy rather than trying to get rid of the imagined cause for my pain, you see. So that flips everything. Now I'm interested in what my mind is doing and not what somebody else is doing. Well, isn't that feeling interesting? So I began to be curious about the feeling of negativity as a feeling. And I just let it sit there. I just sit with it. I'm curious. I hold it. I don't react to what I imagine to be the cause of it. I don't react at all. When you're curious and when you're looking with curiosity, you're not reacting. You are seeing. So when you stop looking at the imagined blame and you start seeing with awareness what the mind is doing, that changes the game. Because now your mind is unified in the curiosity about what the mind is doing. Now you're not thinking about how you should get to a better place. This is the best place. This is where the action is. The action is right now, in the mind, where the irritation is rising. And so when you turn, this is called the turnabout. The turnabout. You turn and you look and you accept and you witness without judgment what the mind is doing as the mind is doing it. And everything then changes, because now you have healed yourself. Now you have healed the split between thought and feeling. And it has become awareness. Aware. I am awake and I am aware, and I welcome every perception, every feeling, every thought as a guide to my essential ground of unity or peace. And this is such a very simple thing, but it's very difficult to do, because our conditioning, not just your conditioning, but the conditioning of humanity, is towards blaming somebody else or yourself for the pain, for the disunity, and for our loss of peace, you see. So then we go on the wild goose chase to try and exterminate or put up a wall on the negativity of our own mind. And you know you can't stop negativity from coming into the mind. So, thank you for diving into this, and play with this. Try it out. Now, don't just say, well, that's interesting, that sounds like that's true, you know, well, what's next? No. Experiment with it. Welcome it. Look forward to it. Say, I want to be really curious about the next time I get irritated with the world. And what does that feel like? What's going on? I want to know. I want to welcome it. I want to hope it comes really fast so I can really get to try this out. It's like getting a new tool. Wow, I want to try this out. Maybe hope something breaks really soon so I can try out this new tool. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you later.